Hello, everybody. This is Linda, and I'm joined by Elisa, and we are here for our weekly workplace wellness discussion. Just have to deal with whatever's issues. Okay, are you back? Can you hear me all right, Elisa?
I can hear you, yes.
Can you hear me?
I can
Okay,
hear
good. All right, so I was asking if you have had issues with taking things personally in the past. Have you?
Oh, yes, for sure I have. And it was difficult. It was very difficult because especially at work, I took my work very seriously and I felt very proud about everything that I did. And I actually remember one time that was a very, I would say, tricky situation because I'm the type of person that like to get feedback, ongoing feedback. I would I would ask for it. I wouldn't expect for people to give it to me directly. And that was for me a way to make improvements and learn. But in this situation, the person that I was working with, it was already for a few months, like a couple to 3 months. And from the beginning, I asked for ways of giving me feedback of how to work together, but I didn't hear anything specific. But one time in a meeting, this person told me a whole bunch of things that felt very uncomfortable. And I was very surprised because I thought, why wouldn't this person tell me on the spot when these things happened? So yes, at the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I felt very uncomfortable. It took me by surprise, and I took it very personal. But what I did was, in that moment, I listened to the person, and I took a few deep breaths, and then I started asking questions. Can you give more details? Can you give me an example? And then the person became very uncomfortable because I started asking questions, and this person took it as a kind of like a personal attack, even though trying to be as calm as possible. So it was a tricky situation.
Yeah.
We worked things out at the end, but I felt proud of myself because many times, maybe in the past, I wouldn't have had that courage to stand up for myself and ask for specific specific examples and details.
Yeah.
And I think that's that one example that I remember, and I felt very proud of myself for doing that.
Well, you should. I think that is really good that you did that, just asking for more information. I mean, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do, and it helps keep you calmer because you're not in that reactive mode. You're genuinely interested to know, more of the reasoning and the detail behind it. So I think that's really good. One of the ways that I remember clearly it affecting me is I remember I used to do a lot of workshops, in-person workshops and things. And I would always do an assessment after, to get feedback on what people thought. And I can remember one time I did a workshop, and I had about 30 people in the room, and I gave them my little questionnaire to give me feedback. And 29 of the 30, I mean, they were just rave reviews, they were glowing reports, everything. One of them, and the only thing she said was, I think it would have been better if you'd also included this, which was, really helpful, actually helpful feedback. But my brain would not let that go. It was like I obsessed on that comment, even though, you know, I ignored all the 29 that were great, and I could not stop thinking about that one. And I know that had happened to me several times. And then I saw, it's actually Wayne Dyer was giving a presentation. He talked about how he'd done a weekend retreat, weekend workshop thing. And he said afterwards he was opening his mail, and he opened a letter that said, that was the best thing, you know, I had the best time, it really helped me, and he's feeling all good, you know. He said, and then I opened the next letter and it said, well, that was a colossal waste of money, I wish I hadn't come. And he looked at it and he thought, you know, he realized, he said in that moment, that he had no control over how other people took his work, took what he did. He said, all I can do is show up and do the best job that I can do. Some people will love it. Some people might hate it. You know, most people may be somewhere in the middle. But I thought that really helped me to be able to let go of any perceived criticism or feedback that didn't feel comfortable, and see it instead as, is there something helpful here that will help me for the next time? You know, because I always want to show up and do my best. And so that really helped me to be able to let go of that. And it's true. I mean, you have no control over how somebody else experiences it, is show up and do your best. And I thought that was really helpful.
It is true. I love that example, because in my situation, I was coming from receiving very positive feedback. Even the head of the organization had given me a very good review. And for the first time, I had something that wasn't as positive. But again, it's about perception. And also it's about to recognize where this is coming from, who's the source, or what's the source, and understand the background and all the pieces, right? And I think that's also important, and it put, I think, our confidence to the test in a way, because if you are doing a good job, if you feel that you have, you know, done everything possible, then you have that peace of mind. Yeah, good. Maybe being better, and you could have included X, Y, Z. Maybe, yes. And that's where I think, you start filtering those things, and with a more passionate way, and not criticizing yourself so harshly. You can be like, with that curiosity, oh, maybe, you know, this is something that I could improve, or maybe I can add in my, you know, in my program, or whatever it is. There are ways that I can learn from this. But yeah, I think it's also a way of building that emotional resilience and building that.
Yeah, because I do really appreciate constructive feedback. You know, I do want to know how can I do better. I just found it interesting how the brain wants to obsess over the one comment, you know, that wasn't, maybe it perceives as not positive. And it was actually quite helpful to me in the end. But I remember another experience that actually made me feel good, because it showed me how far I had come, was I was part of an organization, and I was on the organizing committee for organizing an event that we had coming up. And so there were only 3 of us organizing this event. There was the president of the organization, there was another lady who was also, she was a business coach, and there was me. And this other lady who was the business coach, she was that kind of personality that she's always right. You know, she wants to do it her way, and her way is always the right way. And so we were having a meeting over Zoom, I think, or over the phone. Anyway, she was talking about something for this event. And it seemed to me like it wasn't necessary, it was just going to require a lot of extra work. And so I shared that was my thought. I said, I really don't think we need to do it that way. I think, you know, this is all we have to do, and it's going to be a lot less work. And then she didn't like that, so she kept saying, no, this is how we have to do it. But I was, and very often, if someone's really attached to their opinion, I might not put the effort into trying to change their mind. But, this I knew was going to require a lot of extra work for everybody and wasn't really necessary. So I stuck with it, and I was being very positive about it. I wasn't being rude. And then she said to me, well, I'm feeling very bullied by you right now. And first of all, that took me back because I've never been accused of being a bully before. But I realized, and I said to her, I know that as a coach, you will understand that whatever is being triggered in you right now, the fact that you're feeling bullied by me actually has nothing to do with me. And it's all about whatever's coming up for you. And so she really didn't say any more after that. But I was proud of myself because in the past, if somebody had said that to me, that probably would have affected me for days, weeks, months, possibly. I would have thought, oh no, I've made somebody feel bad. But I realized it really wasn't about me. And it was just, she always liked to be right. And there's a quote, I'm going to read it because it's one of the quotes that's helped me so much. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz, the author of The Four Agreements. Mm-hmm. And you've probably seen this, but it says, don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. And I think
that's one of the four agreements. Don't take it personal.
Yeah, and it's so true. And I've had situations since then where somebody in front of me has been, and as a highly sensitive person, as an empath, when somebody has a lot of negative emotion, it is very possible for us to take that on. In fact, sometimes other people rely on the fact that we can do that because then they'll feel a bit better. We feel worse because we've taken it on. Yes. And so one of the things I've learned to do is that when that's happening with somebody and they have this toxic energy perhaps and they're trying to project it onto me, is to be an observer and just to notice that and recognize this actually has nothing to do with me and I don't need to take it on. It's such an empowering way to be, and to recognize that you don't have to take all of that on. You don't have to take things personally. And I think you'd said before, it's a way we give our power away when we do that.
Totally.
So yeah,
yes, it's true.
It's an important lesson to learn, I think.
Definitely. And it's a muscle. Again, it's a muscle that you have to strengthen and become more assertive, having that self-confidence. And that example where you were an observant and you were not pushing the coach, that was triggering her because in a way she wanted you to be at the same level. And I think that kind of happened in my situation too. She wanted me to accept everything and not question. Yeah. And when I started doing that, she didn't expect that reaction from him. And that's what created that friction.
Yeah.
And at that moment, the relationship was different. And yes, sometimes it will happen. And maybe you'll have to make decisions. Maybe that person may not be as present in my life, or I don't want to be with people that are, like that. Sometimes it's hard because you work with this type of people or there are family members, but it is important to know how to manage the situation in a way that doesn't affect you.
Yes.
We have control on how we feel. We don't have control over other people's emotions, but we do have control on how they affect us. And that's what we need to focus on.
Yeah. I think even if if you're in that kind of situation, just to remind yourself and say to yourself in your mind, I don't need to take this personally. I don't need to take this on. And you just try that out a little bit and see how it feels. And
yes. Creating some sort of like filter or barrier where you hear what you need to hear. And then if as things are entering, maybe put it in a back box to think about it later on. But don't just stay too much in that thought.
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. And unfortunately, our time is up again. But
so fast.
Yes, it always does. So next week, we are going to be talking about, it kind of goes along with this in a way, and that is how to say no. And it's something that comes up a lot for people. I get asked a lot about saying no. And again, as a recovering people pleaser, I have experience with this. I'm sure you do too. Yes. So if you have trouble saying no, tune in next week and we will share some thoughts and maybe strategies on how you can change that.
Yes, and don't forget to share comments, and if you have a topic you like to suggest, feel free to complete the form that it's in the invitation and in our post.
Yes, please do. All right, well, thank you very much, Elisa. Pleasure as always to talk with you, and I look forward to talking with you again next week.
Likewise.
All right.
Linda, thank you.
Bye.